Hi, it's Steph, and today we're going to be talking all things seeds. I'm going to share with you my Baker Creek order and which seeds I'll be starting with winter sowing and which I'll be starting with direct sowing. We're also going to talk about how I collect seeds for my garden and how I store and organize my seeds, and I'm going to share with you some places where you can get some free or cheap seeds for your garden. In one of my recent videos, I shared with you that I had received my Baker Creek seed order. So let's go through it and I'll show you what I got. I limited myself to 10 packs and I've separated them in 2 piles of 5. 5 of them I'm going to be growing using the winter sowing method, and 5 I'm going to be growing using the direct sow method. And I'll tell you when I'm going to start them after I show you what I got. So here's what I ordered. There are 2 types of salvias, a perennial and an annual. And I already have perennial salvias in my garden. Those you'll get a big flush, you cut them back, and then you'll get a secondary flush later in the season. With the annual salvias, they should bloom for you all season long. So this is my first year growing a annual salvia from seed, and the variety that I chose is the Salvia Amore Purple. I liked that it had a deep plum colored purple bloom, and I think these will look lovely with my pink knockout roses and another plant I'm going to show you to grow along my front walkway this summer. Another plant that I selected was the Fairy Snow Balloon Flower. I've grown balloon flower before. I had a purple one, but it was really tall and it would split and flop in the center. So I removed it from my garden and I passed it along to someone who was happy to have it. But this year I'm going to try growing this variety because it is a dwarf variety. This balloon flower only gets to be about 10 inches tall, and it has ivory blooms with a subtle lavender striping. And the blooms are really pretty. Before they open, they almost look like they want to be popped. They look like a little balloon that you could just poke and they would pop open. So really cool bloom. And this one here is perennial, and I will be growing this one with winter sowing. A new to me bee balm. This one is called Spotted Bee Balm. And I thought that the bloom was really interesting. It looked like a pineapple. The description says that it's a perennial and it has a unique pagoda style bloom that pollinators love. And so these here get to be about 2 to 3 feet tall, and yeah, they're perennial. I'm also going to start these with winter sowing. Agastache. What drew me to this one was when I read the reviews on it, someone said that they smell like root beer. And I thought that was really cool. So we're going to grow these and we're going to give them a sniff test and see if that holds to be true. But these here say that they are perennials in zones 5 through 10, and the the plants get to be 15 inches tall and about 12 inches wide. And they are resistant to deer and rabbit, which is excellent. I deal with a lot of deer, so I'm excited about that. And they bloom from early summer through mid-fall. So Agastache Raspberry Daiquiri. And some hyssop. And this one here, what I really like about this one is the yellow foliage. So it says that this one is called Korean Golden Jubilee Hyssop, golden foliage, heavily scented, and it gets these blooms of these purple blooms, spikes that pollinators and goldfinches really enjoy. So this one here, I'm also going to start with winter sowing. And these 5 I'm going to grow via the direct sow method, which means that after my last frost date has passed, I'm going to go ahead and put these outside in the garden directly into the soil, water them, put them in the sun, and let them do their thing. So what did I get? Last year, I grew the Atomic Purple Gomphrena from Baker Creek, and you all know how much I love them. I actually made a highlight video, a plant spotlight on the Atomic Purple Gomphrena, which I posted in my last video. And I think that this white version that I'm going to grow this year is going to look really beautiful with this Salvia Amore Purple and my double pink knockout roses that I have in my front walkway. I think it's going to be a really pretty trio, so I'm really excited to grow the white version of the Gomphrena this year. Zinnias. I selected 2 packs of zinnias this year. I already have the Zinniarita, which is the cactus style salmon one that I grew last year, so I'm going to grow that one again. And last year I grew 2 varieties of the Queen Lime series. I grew the Queen Lime Blush and the Queen Lime Red. This year I am choosing to grow the Queen Lime Orange Zinnia. And these are really easy to grow annuals. If you've never grown flowers from seed before, this one will make you feel like a rock star. If you think you have a brown or a black thumb, grow some of these, you'll think you have a green thumb in no time. These are one of the first flowers that I grew from seed, really easy and really beautiful. And Zinnia Polar Bear. Now these in size look to be similar to the Benary's Giant variety, and I've never grown a white zinnia, but I thought that it would make a really pretty combination with the salmon zinniarita zinnia that I'm growing, with the queen lime orange and with the white. I thought all three would look really beautiful together. So I selected the Polar Bear White. Sunflowers. Last year I grew the Strawberry Blonde, and so this year I opted to try the Sunflower Chocolate Cherry. Has a really dark, deep burgundy velvet appearance on the petals, and it just looks really interesting. And so I will also direct sow these after my last frost date out in the garden in a sunny location. If you've never grown sunflowers before, they like to face the sun. So when you're planting them, make sure that they'll be in a spot that will face the sun when they come up. Because if you, I have a friend who grew sunflowers. She was so excited about them, but they were looking over the fence at her neighbor's house because that's where the sun came from. So you want to make sure that you put your sunflowers in a spot that they will face the sun and that you will get to enjoy their cute bloom. And poppies. This one is new to me this year. This is called Sissinghurst White Poppy. It was a famous poppy from the White Garden at Sissinghurst Castle in Kent, England, and they get to be 2 to 3 feet tall with dusty blue foliage and pods. So sounds really pretty. And these here I'm going to direct sow. Now, a quick note about poppies. I have used the winter sowing method for poppies before, but if you've ever looked into growing poppies, they do say that they are finicky to transplant, to being transplanted. And I have found that to be true. When I grew my poppies via the winter sowing method and I transplanted the seedlings, they were never really a sturdy seedling. They always had the tendency to flop. And poppies get to be pretty heavy with their blooms because their pods are really large, and so they would require staking, and I just didn't enjoy that. But then I also direct sowed poppies, and I've direct sowed them out in the garden in 2 different scenarios. I've direct sowed them in the snow, which is when people say is the best time to do it. But when I did that, I forgot that I had sowed them in the snow, and I happened to walk in the bed to do some spring cleanup, and I trampled all of my seedlings. And so those were gone. And so what I did was in early spring, I went ahead and I direct sowed some more, and they came up and they were beautiful. And actually you can see my lilac palm purple poppies from Baker Creek that I grew last year in my July garden tour. They were great, and they were nice and sturdy because they were direct sown. So comparing my experience with the winter sown poppies versus the direct sown poppies, I had a much sturdier poppy with the direct sow method. So that's what I'm going to do when I grow these poppies this year. What is the most important thing that you need to know when growing your seeds? It is your last frost date. So if you're unsure about when or how to start your seeds, the first thing you should do is figure out when your last frost date is. To do that, all you have to do is do a Google search, head over to Google and type last frost date and enter your zip code. Then you'll get the last frost date for your area, and that will give you a starting point. And then each seed packet typically comes with with information on the back that will give you a general idea of when to start that seed. In most cases, it will give you information is for direct sown seeds as well as indoor started seeds. They don't take into account winter sown seeds. So if you're going to start your seeds indoor under grow lights, you would want to look at the seed package, and it will tell you how many weeks before your last frost date you should start those seeds. For example, it could be 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. You would take a calendar, you would count back 4 to 6 weeks, and that is when you would want to start those seeds indoors under grow lights. Now, if you're going to direct sow your seeds, you would want to read the back of the seed packet and look for information for direct sowing your seeds. And in most cases, it will tell you that you want to direct sow your seeds after any danger of frost has passed or after your last frost date. So that is going to be dependent on your garden zone as well as your zip code and what part of the world you're in. So that is the information that you need to know when you start your seeds. So the most important thing is going to be knowing when to start them so that you have plenty of time to get your flowers to grow from seedling to bloom. Here in my zone 6B, my last frost date is usually at the very end of April or beginning of May. So that's when I plan on direct sowing these seeds out in my garden. And for the ones that I am going to winter sow, I'm going to start those some in February, some in March, and some in April. For any perennial seeds that I plan on starting, I'm going to start those the earliest in February. The reason for that is because perennials in my zone typically like to go through 4 seasons. And because of that, I'm going to try to mimic what they would do in nature by starting them a bit early in the winter so that they can start in a cold temperature. And I think that will work really well for the perennials that I'm growing this year. A great way to get seed is to collect your own seeds. So if you've grown something in your garden that you enjoy, you can collect the seeds and grow the plants again. Now, the best time to collect your seeds is going to be in the fall once your plants are done blooming and have started to dry out on the plant. So in the fall, I did go ahead and collect quite a few of my seed pods that I wanted to gather seeds from. This here is a straw flower, and it is now January, and this has been here for quite a while. And at this point, I would not want to collect seeds from this plant. Because this plant has been here for a couple of months in the moisture of the fall and in the winter, these seeds are probably not going to be as viable as the ones that I collected right after the bloom finished drying out. So we're going to go inside now, and I'm going to show you what these seed heads look like that I collected, and we're going to grab some seeds from them. So just a couple of months ago, I collected some seeds from my garden, and those seeds have been drying in my basement in these glass jars. Now, over the winter months, when we're in the house doing some cooking, it's a good idea to start saving some of these. If you ever get any sauce jars, or this one was from some peppercini peppers, they are a good staple to have as a gardener, because in the summer when I have a lot of flowers out in the garden, if I want to give someone a floral arrangement, I typically use these jars that I've saved over the winter to give away a floral arrangement. And that way I don't have to worry about getting back any of my vessels or vases that I had given someone with flowers. So I thought I would share that tip. But they also worked out really well for me to save seeds. Here I have a bunch of nasturtium seeds. I have some straw flower seeds, and these are the ones that we were looking at outside. So I collected these at the very peak of them being dry, and they were dry. They hadn't been outside in the elements getting too much moisture. So these are going to be a great candidate to collect seeds from. I also collected some ageratum and some Verbena bonariensis. I also collected some seeds of my Kilimanjaro white marigolds. And I also collected some poppy seeds. So those beautiful lilac pom-pom poppies that I was talking to you about, I have a ton in this package that I collected from my own flowers that I grew this year. So last year I bought the seeds from Baker Creek. I grew them in my garden. I collected the seeds, and hopefully they look similar to this. The thing I want to mention when you collect seeds from your garden, it's not always known whether or not the variety that you're going to grow from the collected seeds are going to be true to the variety that you collected them from. Seeds are bred in a variety of ways, and typically in a more controlled environment when you're buying them from seed companies. They have methods to keep the seeds separated so that they're not open pollinated, meaning that they're not just growing in a big field with bumblebees or butterflies going from plant to plant and causing some cross-pollination. So when you buy the seed varieties from a reputable seed company, more than likely the seed that you're going to grow is going to be true to the variety listed on the package. When you collect seeds from plants that you grow in your garden among a bunch of other flowers, you don't know if those seeds are going to grow, or those plants will grow true to the variety of seed that you think you collected. So it's a bit of an experiment. You don't know what you're going to get, but it is still fun to try and to collect them. I have had a lot of luck collecting zinnia seeds. When I do grow them the following year, they're not always similar or the same as the one that I collected them from, but I have been really happy with the varieties and the crosses that actually happen. So it's always been a fun surprise when the blooms start coming out. But something that I was a little bit disappointed with was when I collected seeds off of my Dalmatian peach foxgloves. I thought that I was going to get a beautiful apricot peach foxglove, but I actually ended up with some pink and some purple traditional foxglove colors, which was totally fine. But that is a clear example of how the seed that I originally purchased, which they do classify them as F1 and so forth, and seeds are a really complex topic that I'm not going to really get into, but just know that if you do collect seeds from your plant, there's a good chance that it's not going to be exactly like the parent plant. There might be a slight variation, but they will still likely be very beautiful. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to work on finishing collecting these seeds from my garden and putting them into my little seed packs. You can store seeds in anything. I've used sandwich bags. I've made little packets out of white paper like this. You can use newspaper, recycled envelopes that come in your junk mail, anything really. But I liked the idea of having these little paper type envelopes so that I could sometimes gift seeds from my garden. And I just thought they looked really pretty. So I just bought a pack of these on Amazon. And a couple of years ago, I bought one of these rubber stamps with the wooden handle from Etsy. And I like that you can put all of your seed information on the packet with the stamp. So I usually just put where they came from and when they were collected, what variety they are, and so forth. So that is how I keep my seeds. And now how do I organize them? Well, it's kind of a shameful method, but this is what my seeds look like. I actually just have this plastic shoebox with a bunch of sandwich bags, and I just have them separated out by type of seed. So whether they're a leafy green, an herb, a root vegetable, tomato, pepper, and then the flowers by annuals or perennials. So really not a great system, but it's been working. And for Christmas, I actually just got one of these boxes, and you've probably seen these all over Instagram or YouTube even. They are a photo organizer, photo and craft supply organizer. And so what I'm going to do over the next few weeks is get all of these cleaned out and organized and put in this case for storage. Now, I've seen these organized a couple of different ways in terms of how people put their seeds in these cases. They either put the variety, they separate them out by variety, like I just explained with these bags, the type of vegetable, whether it's a perennial or an annual and so forth. But I've also seen something that I find is really clever, and they separate them out by month or season or when to plant them. So I thought that that was really smart. I don't have a label maker, so I'm probably just going to use some good old painter's tape with a Sharpie to label them. But I think this will work out really well for seed storage. It's also plastic and closed, so probably helps keep them fresh. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is I did share with you my Baker Creek seed haul. I tried to restrain myself and not get too many seeds this year. But something to keep in mind of this time of year, there's a lot of pressure to buy seeds. You see them everywhere. We are overly excited about the prospect of the upcoming garden season. So we are likely to kind of go overboard on seeds, or at least I know I've been victim to it in the past. But I wanted to share with you that there are a couple of ways that you can get free or inexpensive seeds for your garden if, for whatever reason, you either are not in a position to buy any or just don't want to. And those ways are via your library. A lot of libraries have seed libraries now. In fact, mine just got one last year, which was really exciting. And you can go to the library and it's like an exchange almost. You will pick up some seeds, grow them in your garden, and maybe at the end of the season, you'll have seeds that you've collected that you can share and donate to the library for them to have available for other gardeners. So it's a really good program. So I have a video that I made on that, which I will link here for you to check out. And another way is through a seed swap. You can look on pages on sometimes on Facebook in garden groups or even on Instagram. There will be gardeners that at times will host a seed swap. And you can send some seeds, and then the gardener will send you some seeds, and you can exchange a few varieties of seeds for just the cost of one postage stamp. So that's another really affordable way to do it. And if you're looking to purchase some seeds, I've actually bought some really good quality seeds that have germinated really well and grown beautifully for me from the Dollar Tree. So this time of year, the Dollar Tree will start getting their gardening supplies as well as their seeds. And in the past, they have been 4 packs of seeds for $1. Now, the seeds packets are not huge. There's not a ton of seeds, but there's enough. And so you can get 4 packs for $1. They might be 4 for $1.25 now, but it is still a really inexpensive resource for some seeds to grow in your garden. Well, we covered a lot of information about seeds today. I hope that you've learned something and that at least it was informative or entertaining. If you grow any of these varieties in your garden or plan to in the upcoming season, or if you collect seeds from your garden, go ahead and share that information in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and made it this far, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. It really helps my channel grow. As always, thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos, and we'll see you soon.